Subscribe to the channel first because stories like this will make you question everything you thought you knew about trust, marriage, and betrayal. I never thought I would see the day when the woman I married, the woman I trusted with every secret and every ounce of my heart, would lie to me in the most unimaginable way. My name is Daniel, and I have been married to Emily for 7 years. On the outside we looked perfect, a cozy house, good jobs, and a life that neighbors envied. On the inside I thought we had a strong foundation built on honesty, trust, and shared dreams. That belief shattered in a way I never expected. It started with a simple text one Tuesday evening. Emily told me she wasn't feeling well and would be staying home from work. That was it. Just a quick message, nothing alarming. I didn't think much of it at first. Everyone gets sick now and then, and she had been busy with a major project at her firm. I decided to let her rest. By the third day, however, I began to notice small inconsistencies. Her illness seemed oddly selective. She wouldn't pick up calls from me, but she was active on social media. She would claim exhaustion, but I saw photos of her laughing at a friend's birthday party that night. A small part of me tried to rationalize. Maybe she just wanted some space, but another part, the one I'd always trusted to detect the subtle shifts in her behavior, started to nag. Something wasn't right. The next morning I tried casually bringing it up. "Feeling any better?" I asked. She smiled weakly and said she was still resting. But the tone was different, distant, almost rehearsed. I let it slide for the moment, thinking perhaps she was just worn out. But by the 5th day I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. My instincts, honed over years of careful observation in life and business, told me she was hiding something far more serious than a simple illness. I decided to start quietly checking details, not in a frantic or desperate way but methodically. I looked at her usual routines, the small patterns she never missed before. And then I noticed it. A string of messages deleted quickly, but not fast enough to erase the trace. My stomach sank. The word love appeared more than once. The name was unfamiliar, but the context was unmistakable. Emily was lying. She wasn't ill. She was seeing someone else. I didn't confront her immediately. I watched, I listened, I observed. And then the unexpected happened. One afternoon while I was picking up a package from the front porch, I saw a woman I hadn't met before. Mid-30s, professional, dressed sharply, confident. She stopped me and said something I could barely believe. "You're Daniel, right? I think you should know the truth about Emily." I froze. She wasn't threatening, she wasn't angry. Her tone was calm, precise, like someone delivering facts that couldn't be denied. She introduced herself as Laura, the wife of Emily's lover. She had found out about the affair the hard way, and unlike Emily, she didn't want secrets. She had chosen to speak. I didn't say anything at first, just let her words sink in. Emily's lies, the carefully constructed illness, all of it came rushing back in pieces. Every small moment I had brushed off, every excuse I had accepted suddenly seemed like part of a hidden pattern. Laura looked at me, her expression neutral, but her eyes carried a weight that demanded acknowledgement. "I know this is hard, Daniel." I didn't want to interfere, but he made a choice. "And now you deserve to know where you really stand." I stepped back, trying to process everything Laura had just said. My mind was a whirlwind of disbelief and anger. How could Emily, the woman I had trusted completely, orchestrate such an elaborate deception? I wanted answers, but more than that, I needed clarity. Laura seemed to sense this. "She's been seeing him for months," Laura said quietly. "It started with small meetings, dinners she claimed were work-related, then weekends. You weren't imagining the late nights or the excuses." Every word felt like a punch. I remembered the nights she said she had migraines, the sudden work emergencies, and the texts that vanished before I could read them. Every excuse I had swallowed without suspicion suddenly became a lie. My body tightened. My hands shook, not just with anger, but with the betrayal of someone I had given everything to. Laura continued, her voice steady. "I didn't want to tell you, but you deserve to know. He's married too, but he hid it. I think he assumed you'd never find out." Her honesty, cold and precise, cut through the haze of my emotions. I realized then that Emily had not only lied about her health, but had constructed a secret life that was entirely separate from ours. My stomach churned. The woman I had laughed with, shared dreams with, and loved more than anything was now unrecognizable in my memory. That evening, I confronted Emily at home. I waited until she returned, expecting exhaustion or feigned weakness. She walked through the door smiling as if nothing had happened. I could no longer pretend. "Emily," I began, my voice calm but firm, "we need to talk." She looked at me with a mixture of irritation and unease. "About what?" she asked, a small tremor in her voice betraying her attempt at composure. "The truth," I said, holding up my phone. "Laura spoke to me today. She knows everything." Her smile faltered. I saw the flash of fear, quickly masked by disbelief. "I don't know what you mean," she said, voice slightly higher than normal, defensively. I leaned against the kitchen counter, letting the silence stretch. My patience was deliberate. I wanted her to feel the weight of her actions, to realize that every lie had consequences. "Emily," I said finally, "I trusted you. I gave you everything. And yet you chose to lie, deceive, and hide another life from me. All while pretending to be sick. All while pretending to care." Her face went pale. She opened her mouth to speak but stopped. I could see the conflict in her eyes, the guilt, the fear, the instinct to manipulate, but it was too late. The revelation was already done. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just stood there and let her realize the magnitude of her betrayal. Laura had given me the clarity I needed, and now Emily had no defense. She had crafted a story for months, but in a single afternoon, all of it unraveled. For the first time in years, I saw Emily not as the woman I married, but as someone capable of betrayal, someone who had divided her loyalty and lied about everything that mattered most. I finally sat down across from Emily, the weight of betrayal heavy in the room. She avoided my eyes, shifting uncomfortably, like a child caught in the act. I could feel the silence pressing, each second amplifying the truth she could no longer deny. "I need to know why," I said, my voice steady. "Why would you do this? Why lie about being sick? Why hide this from me?" Emily's lips quivered. For a moment I saw the woman I loved flicker behind the fear, but it vanished almost instantly. I didn't mean for it to get this far," she whispered. "It just happened. I didn't want to hurt you." "Didn't want to hurt me?" I repeated, incredulous. "You've been living a lie while I trusted you completely. Every plan, every dream we had, you shattered it for what? A few secret meetings, a thrill that you can't even explain." She lowered her gaze, tears forming but unable to meet mine. The room was thick with tension. I realized then that there was nothing left to salvage in words alone. The betrayal wasn't just physical or emotional. It was a fracture in the foundation of everything we had built together. I remembered Laura's words, her calm, precise delivery of a truth I had been too blind to see. The fact that another woman had to tell me about my wife's affair, that clarity came from someone outside our marriage, was almost unbearable. But it also made the path forward clear. "I trusted you with everything," I said, my voice quieter now, heavy with finality. "And you chose someone else. There is nothing left for us here. Nothing." Emily's sobs filled the room, but they did nothing to soften the edges of reality. I could see the regret, the fear, the shame, but it wasn't enough. Not now. Not after months of lies. Not after the calculated deception. I stood, taking a deep breath, feeling the last remnants of love, hope, and patience drain from me. "You need to face the consequences of your choices," I said. "And I need to start living in the truth, not in the lies you've created." She reached out as if to stop me, to plead, but I didn't move back. I let her hand hover for a moment, then fall to her side. The decision wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I had to reclaim myself, my life, and my dignity. Later that evening, I spoke again with Laura. She offered a quiet understanding that I hadn't expected. There was no malice in her, only acknowledgement of the damage and a willingness to help me navigate the truth. I realized then that honesty, even when delivered harshly, was far more powerful than the illusions Emily had woven. By the next morning I had packed my things, cleared out the reminders of a marriage built on lies, and prepared to step into a life that I controlled, a life where trust and integrity mattered above all. Emily's betrayal had hurt deeply, but it had also awakened me to a reality I could no longer ignore. Some wounds take time to heal, and some betrayals leave scars that never fully fade. But facing the truth, no matter how painful, allowed me to regain the one thing that mattered most. My own strength, my own clarity, and my own peace. The chapter with Emily had ended, but my story was far from over. And this time, I knew I would never let deception dictate the course of my life again.